A very warm welcome to you at home. I am Musam Kalipi and this is Afroshowbiz News, the show that keeps you in the know about all things art and entertainment from around the African continent. Now, to keep in touch, feel free to email us at afroshowbiznews@sabc.co.za. Also follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at Afroshowbiz News. Let's get right to it with today's headlines. Makufe Festival celebrates 17th years. Africa's established designers present their latest collections. An American hip-hop artist performs at the Serengeti Fiesta Grand Finale in Tanzania. The Makufe Festival is this year celebrating its 17th year since its inception. It offers a wide range of items like music, dance, crafts, fashion, and other things. It opened on the 3rd of October and will conclude this Sunday.
The Makufe Festival, which was started in 1997 by the provincial government of the Free State, has again this year been better than before. The festival kick-started on the 3rd of this month. Celebrated artists from South Africa such as Jonas Gwangwa, Oliver Mtukudzi, Ringo and Thandiswa Mazwai and many others were among those that embraced the streets of Mangaung this October, not forgetting international artists including El Clue. This year there was a comedy lineup which took place on Thursday.
You can't do this without...
This included Mark Lottering, David Gau, Joey Rasdin and Skumba Hlope. Since its inception, this event has become the most popular and biggest event that celebrates arts and culture in the whole African continent. Not only is the festival about music, it also includes visual arts and crafts, fashion, drama, comedy, poetry and a real African vibe. This most celebrated outdoor music festival features the best of international, national and local artists in an afternoon of relaxation, fun and a high level of entertainment. The Makufe Festival will conclude on Sunday with a soccer match between Bloemfontein Celtics and Kaizer Chiefs.
Popular summer jam Karakara by South African rapper Ntokozo Mdluli, better known as KO, has claimed recognition as the first ever local hip-hop video to reach over 1 million views. The song became an instant hit when it was released. With its catchy township lyrics, it has proved to be a fan favorite, reaching over 1 million views on YouTube. Karakara is the second solo single by South African recording artist KO and features Kid X, a fellow stablemate rapper. It was released on various digital platforms and peaked at number 6 on South Africa's official music chart. The track is named after the Volkswagen Caravan, which was a staple on South African roads in the 90s and early 2000s as one of the main modes of public transport. KO rose to prominence with the group Tear Gas when they released their debut album Kshubile Kubovu in 2006. He has since managed to build a solid fan base as a solo artist. Released singles Mission Statement and Karakara will form part of his upcoming solo debut studio album called Skanda Republic. The Skanda movement is all about the South African fusion of hip-hop and kwaito.
Sorry, I'm going in. Polos, I'm same one.
A truly South African Afrikaans opera titled Boskantoor made its debut at this year's Clover Art Club National Arts Festival in Potchefstroom in the Northwest Province earlier in the week. The Afrikaans opera was the first of its kind in the 21st century and is set in a post office. Directed by Jaco Bauer and written by Tertius Kapp, it includes a cast of multi-talented opera singers such as Leniel Kenneth and Magdalene Menar. The story follows Grete, a widow who is on the verge of leaving her small town, Karkaskral, but her plans get delayed when a struggling car guard, Napoleon, declares his love for her. The duration of this opera is 100 minutes. This sort of musical is set to give shape to the new direction of opera in the country, creating works of high quality for audiences to enjoy. Boskantoor made its debut at the Clover Art Club Festival on the 7th of October at the Sanlam Auditorium in Pretoria. It will be going on a countrywide tour, appearing at the Artscape in February 2015, the Klein Karoo Nationale Kunstefees in April, and the Grahamstown Festival in July 2015. Artklop is an annual South African arts festival held since 1998. This cultural festival incorporates mostly Afrikaans theatre, dance, music, cabaret, and visual arts, and is held in a variety of venues in and around Potchefstroom. The second annual Melting Pot National Choral Festival will take place next weekend. The event is a tribute to OR Tambo, celebrating 20 years, and this year will highlight the 20 years of democracy through music. This has become one of the country's best of the best in South African choral music and is held in the month to coincide with the birth date of the late OR Tambo. Now, joining us in studio to unpack the event is Otto Moloto, Communications Manager of Melting Pot. Hello and welcome to Afroshowbiz News, Otto.
Yeah, welcome. Hello, how are you?
Thank you so much for coming. Now, this is the second year that the event has taken place, and last year it only took place for one day. Why did you decide to add on a second day this year?
Yeah, it shows the growth. It shows that it started last year. It was our launch year. Then, as you know, it shows growth because this year, not only the days have expanded, but also the prize money, because as much as this is an event to celebrate OR, it's also an event to grow the cultural, the choral music, and it's one of it's a standalone because it's a potpourri of choral music, art in terms of music, and comedy, and also orchestras don't get necessarily too much work, so that's also that element of employing people in the true spirit of OR Tambo.
All right, now the late OR Tambo was a huge choral music fan. Now tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, OR was not just only, he was a perfectionist, a disciplinarian. So he liked things that has got order in them. That's why he took the discipline of choral music, because choral music, there's discipline. You can't sing it alone. You are a group of people that needs to work together to make a proper song. So when he got to St. Peter's, because he started at home as a primary school, but he took it serious when he got to St. Peter's school in Rustenville, Johannesburg then, and then he started composing. He was a choir member himself. He became a choir conductor. So what drove him mainly was the question of discipline, because he was a disciplinarian.
All right. Now, also, we are celebrating 20 years of democracy this year. How will it be incorporated in this year's Melting Pot Festival?
It's to spread the spirit of saying, yes, 20 years where we were liberated, and then 20 years on, unlike other countries, we are still there. We are clamoring and saying, this is our democracy. So it will be showcased through song, through music, through song and dance, and through good music. Yeah, that's how. I mean, there are songs that are composed for OR, and there are songs that are composed for 2010, for 20 years of democracy. All right,
now also tell us a bit about the choirs that are taking place. Who are they, and maybe where are they from exactly?
It was, if you would know, it is a competition, national competition. So the choirs are from the 9 provinces that are competing. They are from the nine provinces. I mean, Abu Tabong, choir from Tabong, choir from here, right here in Johannesburg, from Wits. And also it has expanded, as we were saying. Last year it showcases growth. It has expanded. We've got choirs from Swaziland, and we've got choirs as far as from Kenya. Those choirs are added on to spread the choral music as growth, and also those choirs were invited to also celebrate the 20 years of democracy.
And now there's a big prize for the overall winner. Maybe take us through that. What will the winner be getting exactly?
The prizes are 2. There's one for what we call the western side of the western side of choral music, and there's one for African section. Right. So when you combine the prices, it's 250 for each category, 250,000 for each category. So it means that the choir that worked very, very hard to really rehearse the 2 sections would easily go away with 500,000, and courtesy of Ekurhuleni municipality.
All right, and then if I can just interrupt you there, briefly just tell us about the judges. Who exactly is on the panel?
Well. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say exactly. We've got judges from. We've got judges from England. We've got local judges. We've got judges from Swaziland. We've got judges from Kenya. We've got judges from all over. So I'm not just gonna say this one is the judge and that one is not the judge. I mean, it's a best kept secret up until the day.
All right, then.
Yeah.
Well, Otto, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, and also a big thanks to Ekurhuleni Municipality for hosting Melting Pot again.
The Baxter Dance Festival is currently taking place at the Baxter Theatre in Cape Town this year. The festival celebrates its 10th anniversary.
The festival aims to afford emerging and established dance companies as well as choreographers with the opportunity to present their dance skills. This year, the festival will showcase dynamic and diverse local and international dance. The 10th Dance Festival is not only a celebration of dance, but an opportunity to take a look at how dance has shaped the lives of dancers. The festival has continued to grow since its inception in 2004. Over 450 local choreographers have presented their work since the festival began. Over 3,000 dancers from more than 400 dance studios, dance schools, projects and professional companies from the Western Cape have been featured. The dance styles vary from contemporary, classic, African, modern and Spanish dance. Some 69 dance productions will be presented over 10 days by companies from across the Western Cape, plus one from the Northern Cape. This is up from the 45 seen last year.
We will now go for a quick ad break, but do stay tuned for more.
SABC, sharing 20 years of inspiration.
Welcome back. Johannesburg will see the opening of the Amazing from the Streets of Brazil. The amazing dance drama will be at the Joburg Theatre until the 15th of this month.
Brazil's sensational new dance troupe, Braz dos Santos, has started a world tour of its show called Brazuca at the Joburg Theatre. Brazuca is set to thrill audiences in London, Johannesburg and throughout Australia, with the recent being Johannesburg. The production, based on a true story from the toughest streets in Brazil, has been described as one of the hottest dance shows ever. This unique dance drama is performed by the finest Brazilian dancers in the world. The cast of Brazuca consists of 16 dancers who promise to take audiences on a breathtaking journey of intense passion, sizzling sensuality, pulsing music and explosive energy. They introduce the sensational dance language of Lambazouk and other Afro-Brazilian dances in a stunning variety of styles. The dance drama, with a cast of about 20 artists, had its world premiere at the recent Edinburgh Art Festival in Scotland. Audiences can look forward to a breathtaking production boasting world-class dance. Brazuca opened on the 3rd of this month at the Joburg Theatre and will conclude on the 19th.
More than 30 of Africa's established designers are to present their collections at the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week Africa in November in Johannesburg. This was announced earlier this week.
More than 30 African established designers are to present their latest collections at the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week Africa in Johannesburg this November. This was announced early this week. Africa Fashion International unveiled a lineup of talented designers from around the continent, including Cameroon, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Rwanda, Kenya, Mozambique, Nigeria, among others. They will showcase under this year's theme, Our Heritage Reimagined. The first day of the Fashion Week will present collections from renowned labels including Kibonen, Intisar, Mill Collins, and Taibo Bekar. The 2014 African Fashion Trade Expo is the largest event that presents Africa's latest brands and trends while providing networking opportunities to buyers, consumers, media, and other fashion followers for the duration of Fashion Week. According to the AFIS's spokesperson, Sizwe Nzimande, this year's MBFW Africa will be the best yet owing to AFIS's primary focus for 2015, which is to provide more retail access for designers to consumers globally. MBFW Africa 2014 will also see the conclusion of the AFI 2014 Fast Track program, in which each of the winners will present their collections.
The film Elelwane has been selected as South Africa's Oscars entry sometime this week.
The South African Academy Awards Selection Committee and the National Film and Video Foundation made the announcement after much deliberation. It was confirmed as South Africa's official entry into the Best Foreign Language Film category for the annual Academy Awards. Elelwane first premiered at the Durban International Film Festival. Thereafter, it made the official selection at the Berlin International Film Festival, Pan-African Film Festival, and the Luxor International Film Festival in 2013. The film took home the award for Best Production Design. Elelwane will join award-winning Tsotsi and previously nominated yesterday as South African films that have been represented at the Oscars. If approved, the film will represent South Africa as the nominee for the 87th Oscars to be held in 2015.
Papa, it's in my phone. Shut up!
The 18th Poetry Africa 2014 and International Poetry Festival will be taking place this month. The festival brings together some of the continent's most dynamic poets and musicians to the city of Durban.
This year's event features 24 participants from 13 different countries, bringing together some of the continent's most dynamic poets and musicians to Durban, with artists from Burkina Faso, Mali, Kenya, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Cameroon, Nigeria, Mozambique, Ivory Coast, Ethiopia, and the United States of America. The week-long program features performances, readings, and book launches from some of the world's most diverse poets every evening at the Elizabeth Snedden Theatre. The day program includes seminars, workshops, poetry competitions, open mic opportunities, and campus invasions and school visits. The festival features an extensive community outreach program in various community centers and campuses throughout Durban and surrounding areas. The Friday night also features an annual schools poetry writing competition awards.
Now, joining us from our Durban studio for more about the festival is Tiny Mungwe, project manager of Poetry Africa. Hello, Tiny, and welcome to Afroshowbiz News.
Thank you for having us, Musa.
Thank you for coming. Now, Poetry Africa is in its 18th year. How have you managed to make it thus far?
I think it's from programming a diversity of voices from KZN, South Africa, Africa, and then looking out into the world. But it's also the fact that we have audiences who appreciate the spoken word and poetry. It's the one art form that I think translates across the generations. So this year we have quite an interesting selection of people in the lineup. Paige Ngwenya is a Durban poet that's going to be taking the stage alongside Nakanjani Sibiya, who is a well-acclaimed writer of Zulu poetry and Zulu literature, and editor and so forth, Sthembiso Kwela. Then we have people from Joburg, Mac Manaka, Makafula Vilakazi, Napo Mashiane. And then, we're looking further out afield. We have about 12 spoken word artists from all over the continent, including Dagatola from Nigeria, Akim Lasisi also from Nigeria, Aziz Sitting from Mali, Black Pearl closer to home in Mozambique. Right. And I think we're really excited to sort of be headlining our spoken word lineup with Buddy Wakefield, who's on a world tour for 16 months. So he's just performed at the Shoko Festival and Word and Sound in the last month, and he'll be doing his last appearance in Africa before he moves on his world tour. Right. We are also very excited to be moving the festival's finale to Rivertown, which is a new creative arts precinct in Durban. The festival is supported by the city of Durban, which is really championing the cause of creating a sustainable creative economy for artists living and working in KZN. So we're really happy to be part of that precinct at the end of next week, where the festival finale will take place. We're also particularly excited because Hip Hop Banzula, WHP, will be performing at our festival finale. So it's really an exciting lineup for what we're doing in Durban from Monday next week until the 18th, Monday the 13th until the 18th of October. But we're also excited to be presenting a work of poetry and music, which is a sequel to Insurrections. It's called Maihlome Awan in Cape Town on the weekend of the 24th and the 25th of October. And this is basically an ensemble performance by Indian poets and South African poets, as well as Indian musicians and South African musicians working with indigenous music from both continents. So we're really excited about what we're offering for this year.
Okay, now Tiny, why do you think it's important to have such festivals in the country?
I think that, you know, poetry translates to many forms. A lot of poets work as copywriters, authors, script writers, and so forth. A lot of poetry is used in advertising. But what Poetry Africa does is that it gives a platform for poetry to exist for its own sake and to be interrogated for its own sake. And we are really interested in nurturing a love for poetry and words and spoken word, and in interrogating what could be done with the word for people interested in looking at that as a standalone sort of art form. What Poetry Africa does as well is that we try to create a wide diversity of poetry or forms of poetry in order to sort of give space for representation in what people are saying. Poetry is also important for freedom of expression. I think that what poetry does is that it gives you a lot of ways to say things that are difficult to say in other context. So that's the reason why we're very keen on sustaining this festival.
All right. Well, Tiny, we are out of time, but thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you for your time, and hope to see you in the theatre at the Snedden.
Thank you very much. That was Tiny Mungwe talking to us from our Durban studios about this year's Poetry Africa. This week, we take a look at a book titled Weeping Waters by Brainard. Weeping Waters follows the adventures of Inspector Albertus Beslar, who has left the ruthless city in the hope of finding peace and quiet in the Kalahari after he is shattered by the brutal murder of artist Freddie Swart and his adopted daughter. But Freddie's journalist sister Sarah is not convinced that this is a typical farm attack. After more murders, the disturbing puzzle grows increasingly sinister as age-old secrets and hostilities surface. Weeping Waters is Fowler and Dixon's translation of the Afrikaans bestseller Plus Mort. She has won several literary awards, including the University of Johannesburg debut prize. She's a journalist and has worked as a political correspondent for an Afrikaans newspaper for years. You're still watching Afroshowbiz News. If you've missed any of our shows, be sure to catch us on our YouTube channel by simply searching for Afroshowbiz News. Time now for another break. Do not go anywhere.
SABC News, we've got Africa covered.
Welcome back. Renowned American hip-hop artist T.I. will be performing at the Serengeti Fiesta Grand Finale in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. The event takes place next weekend.
The artist, who has won Grammy Awards 3 times, is well recognized by millions of music fans in the world due to his hit songs like No Mediocre, No Mercy, and trap music. Serengeti Breweries Limited is the company behind T.I.'s trip to Dar es Salaam, and they confirmed his arrival. T.I. rose to fame in 2003 after he collaborated with his fellow musician Bone Crusher in his song Never Scared. His 6th album, released in 2008, dubbed Paper Trail, which sold 568,000 copies in America, only in its first week. The Serengeti Fiesta has already been held in 10 regions and is expected to continue in Singita, Dodoma, Mbeya, Songea and Mtwara before reaching its climax in Dar es Salaam.
Jamaican dancehall act Conscience will headline the Lion Lager Summer Beer Festival, which will be held at the Glamis Arena in Harare, Zimbabwe. The event is taking place tonight.
Speculations were rife in the media with regards to the main act at the festival. But this week, Delta Beverages, the organizers of the event, confirmed that Conscience was coming to Harare. His 2005 single Ponte Corner was a major hit in Japan and led to a month-long tour of the country and a Japan-only album release. According to his biography, Conscience made a guest appearance on Taras Riley's Contagious album, DJing on Good Girl Gone Bad, which was also released as a single. He has a large fan base in Guyana and Europe, where his Girl Them Talk single was a major hit, and he performed at Guyana's National Stadium in 2011. Conscience also launched his own Subconscious label in 2010, working with new acts including his brother Dealers.
Morocco opens its first national museum since gaining independence from France nearly 60 years ago. The Mohammed IV National Museum for Modern and Contemporary Art showcases a collection of temporary and modern exhibits.
This first museum of modern and contemporary art to emerge in Morocco since its independence has finally opened its doors to the public. The museum showcases a permanent collection of temporary exhibits and includes conservation laboratories, an auditorium, education center, a multimedia library, and other facilities. It is considered the first of its kind to only dedicate space for modern and contemporary art in Morocco. It also aims to showcase a glimpse of Moroccan art history through various artworks from the early 20th century to recent days.
The institution is aiming to become an active and dynamic institution which works hard to abolish the old stereotypes that were associated with the role of a national museum.
With 300 artworks, the exhibition is divided into 4 sections: the pioneers, the generation of the 1950s, the recognized masters of the 1980s and 1950s, and the current development since the year 2000. Andre Albaz, a veteran Moroccan painter, expressed how happy he was to see Moroccan art showcased in the National Museum.
We were in a contemporary world, regardless if we were Algerians, Tunisians, or Moroccans, and we were looking for an art that originates from our countries, a local art.
The museum was inaugurated by Morocco's King Mohammed VI on Tuesday. Visits to the exhibition will be free of charge for a month or 2, and thereafter visitors will be charged. The museum is part of a broader development and infrastructure project in Morocco.
Sudanese photographer Ala Kher sees the world's best through the lens of his camera. His favorite subjects include portraits and nature.
Kai says his love for photography is an ode to Africa, with a special focus on his home country.
Photographs are important to reflect the actual image of Sudan and to reflect the stories of Sudanese, which many don't know. To attract people, the photograph should be good quality, but the subject should also be attractive.
Kai's work has made him popular not only to a public audience, but also among his peers. He is the head of the Sudanese Photographers Association, which has a membership of 300 amateur and professional photographers from across the country.
In Sudan, there are no institutes that train people in photography or where photographers can graduate with professional qualifications. Most people have learned through hobby and practice.
He recently partnered with the Goethe Institute in Khartoum to organize a workshop where members of his association could interact and learn from experienced photographers from around the world. One of the trainers at the workshop was veteran Nigerian photographer and writer Akimbode Akimbiyi, who has been working with cameras since 1974.
But it's very, very important not to be overwhelmed by this technology, but for the practitioners to really speak, photograph from the heart. That's very, very important.
Sudan's Ministry of Culture took an active role in preserving some of the earliest photographs documenting the country's history. Kai says he hopes one day there will be enough interest to set up a local training institute for photographers of all ages.
We have now come to the end of our show, but be sure to catch the repeats every Sunday at 2 a.m. and again at 1:30 p.m. From me and the rest of the Afroshowbiz news team, it's thank you and goodbye.